An important thing here is the distinction between usage or the extent of usage of these tools for software developers versus DevOps engineers. So you, let's say as a DevOps engineer, what part or which process of this whole build and release cycle is in your area of responsibility? And why should you actually learn and know these build tools and dependency management tools and understand the concepts? Now, first of all, when developers are creating the application, writing the code, they will use those tools locally to run the application, maybe to even execute the tests locally before they make commits. So they will write the dependencies files for these build tools and they will configure the tools. So as a DevOps engineer, you shouldn't have to do much in that area. But you should help them when it comes to commands and configuring the building of the artifact. Because you as a DevOps engineer will know better where the application will run and how it will run, on which environment, under what circumstances, and so on. So developers, they install dependencies locally, they run the application, but they don't build the application locally. Because building the application, the artifact, and then Docker image, and pushing it to the repository and then running it onto the server, none of that happens on the machine of a developer. It all happens in the build automation tool, which is a responsibility of a DevOps engineer or a DevOps team. So your job as a DevOps engineer will be to configure the build automation or CI/CD pipeline in order to build the application on a Jenkins server, for example, which includes installing dependencies, running the tests against the application code, and then if successful, building or bundling the application code, and then pushing it to the repository, as I mentioned, and deploying it to the server. So you don't run the application on the build server. This is what the developers do locally. So that part of the build tools and dependency management tools are not relevant for you. So let's see specifically what parts of those tools you need for the CI/CD pipeline setup. First of all, you need these tools on CI/CD because you need to execute application tests on a build server before you build the application. So with npm or yarn, you can execute npm or yarn test command, or you can execute Gradle test or Maven test commands, similarly for Java application. And every such tool has some similar command for executing the tests. You also need these commands to build the application, to package it into the Docker image. Or you also need Webpack to bundle the frontend code before it becomes part of the final artifact. And this means you should know these tools and its commands for using it on the CI/CD pipeline. For usage in the code itself, for local development, developers will mostly take care of it